Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well and you are staying safe. In this video I want to touch with you about powers or exponents and roots. Power or exponents and roots. What is the power? Let's raise this one, then I will gonna come back to this one. What is the powers? Power is repeated multiplication, or is easier way to show repeated multiplication. Look at this one. If I want to multiply 5 by itself, 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, let's say times 5. Let's say I want to multiply 5 by itself 10 times. Okay? 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say I don't need to write this one. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's enough. Let's say I want to multiply 5 by itself 7 times. Okay? As you see, it's hard to write it. Okay? If I want to repeat this one, or it take times, especially when the number are bigger. Let's say I want to multiply 2 by itself 30 times. Can you see it's hard if I want to write this one, 2 multiplied by itself 30 times. So to make it easier, to make it more simplified to show this one, we use power. Instead of multiplying 5 by itself 7 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I can write it as 5 and put a 7 at the top. And how we read it? We say 5 to the power of 7. It means 5 multiplied by itself 7 times. Or for this one, if I want to multiply 2 by itself 30 times, I can write it as 2 and put a 30 here and read it 2 to the power of 30. It means 2 multiplied by itself 30 times. So as you see, the power is the easier way to show repeated multiplication. Now, where is my eraser? It's here. This is the meaning of power. And when we are writing 5 to the power of 7, the name of this 5, we call it base. The name of this 5 is base, and the name of this 7, we call it exponent. Okay, so 5 is the base and 7 is the exponent. The base multiplied by itself to the number of exponent. Let's do some example. What is 3 to the power of 2? It means 3 multiplied by itself 2 times, which can be 9. Or 7 to the power of 3, it means 7 multiplied by itself 3 times. 7 times 7 is 49, and 49 times 7, 7 times 9 is 63, 7 times 4 is 28, plus 6 is 34, if I don't make mistake. Yeah, 7 to the power of 3, it means 7 times 7 times 7, which is 343. This is the meaning of power. Now, one thing that you should always remember, 3 to the power of, what is the result of 3 to the power of 1? It means 3 multiplied by itself 1 times, yeah? So it's going to be 3. Any number to the power of 1 is the same number, okay? The other thing, let's say 5 to the power of 0, any number to the power of 0. Any number to the power of 0, we call it 1. We define it 1 by definition. Any number to the power of 0 is 1. So remember these two definitions. I show the general formula. X to the power of n. It means x multiplied by itself. How many times? N times. Yeah, x to the power of n. It means x multiplied by itself n times. Then x is base and the n is exponent. X to the power of 1. X represents any number. It can be positive, negative, decimal, fraction, whatever. X to the power of 1 is x, and x to the power of 0 or any number to the power of 0 is going to be 1. We will talk about, as you see, all the exponents I talked so far, the exponent was positive or 0. We will talk about negative exponent in different video. Okay? Now, this is the power. What is the roots? Oh, one thing. Tricky questions. When I say 3 to the power of 2, it means 3 multiplied by itself 2 times, which gonna be 9. If I say negative 3 to the power of 2, okay, as you see, this negative 3 is inside the bracket. It means whatever is inside the bracket, we should multiply by itself. How many times to the number of exponent, which is in this case is 2. So it's going to be, it means negative 3 multiplied by negative 3 2 times. And what is the result for this one? Negative times negative is positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. So negative 3 to the power of 2 is 9 or positive 9. What about this one? Negative 3 to the power of 2. What about this one? Can you see in this one the negative 3 is not inside the bracket? It means this 2, this exponent, it doesn't affect this negative. It affects only this 3. So it's going to be negative, then 3 times 3. Or let me put inside the bracket that make it easier to understand. Is negative 3 multiplied by 3. Can you see this 2 doesn't affect this negative. So it's going to be 3 times 3 is 9, and this negative is going to remain here. So this is the one tricky question that sometimes the students make mistakes. This is the common mistakes. Remember, negative 3, when it's inside the bracket to the power of 2 is positive 9. Negative 3 when to the power of 2, when it's not inside the bracket, it's going to be negative 9. The same thing for other numbers. Negative 2 to the power of 2, because it's not inside the bracket, it's going to be negative 4. And negative 2 inside the bracket to the power of 2 is going to be positive 4. You remember about this type of example that you don't make mistake. Now, what is root? Root what is roots? Roots is opposite of the exponent. As an example, when I say and we use this sign, we call it radical, as to show the roots. And there is a number here. When there is no number inside this one, this number we call it index. This name is index. And this sign is radical. Okay? So, as if I write this one, as an example, if I put x inside this one, yeah, nth root of x, it means we should find a number Then when we multiply by itself n time, yeah, we end up to this x. Example to make it clear, let's say 4. When there is no index here, it means the index is 2. When there is no, the index is blank. There is no number for the index. It means the index is 2 and we call it a square root. A square root of 4, it means we should find a number. When we multiply them by itself, the result will be 4. So the answer is going to be 2. A square root of 4 is 2. Why? Because 2 times 2 is going to be 4. A square root, because the index is blank, then it means the index is 2. For any number other than 2, we have to write a number. As an example, this one. The index is 3 and we call it cube root. Cube root of 8. It means we should find a number. Then when we multiply it by itself 3 times, the result will be 8. So in this case, the cube root of 8 is going to be 2. Why? Because if you multiply 2 by itself 3 times, 2 times 2 times 2 is going to be 8. This one is cube root, this one is square root. Let's say a square root of 25 is 5. Yeah, because 5 times 5 is going to be 25. Now, what is a square? I can say a square root of 25 is negative 5 as well. Why? Because negative 5 multiplied by negative 5 is going to be 25. Okay? So a square root of 25, we have two answers, positive 5 or negative 5. A square root of 4, we can the answer is going to be 2 or negative 2. Or in general, we can write it a square root of 4 is equal plus minus 2. Okay? A square root of 4 is plus minus 2. For the cube root, we don't have plus minus because the cube root, it means multiply by itself 3 times. Cube root of 8 is going to be 2. Cube root of negative 8 is negative 2. Because negative 2 multiplied by itself 3 times, it's going to be negative 8. Now, for the roots is enough for now for this section. In the future, in the next videos, I will explain you in very detail when we are talking about radicals and exponent. I will explain in very details. Let's just do some example about these things. Let's say what is the cube root of negative 64? What is the cube root of negative 64? We can use a calculator to find the cube root of negative 64. If you look at your calculator, let me see if I have the calculator here. Yeah. I have a calculator here. If you look at your calculator, let me see if it's visible. It's almost visible. Look at here, that you can find a key. In this case, I think it's not visible. This is the x square. Can you see this x square here? Yeah. And in the top of this key is in the copper is a square root. In the copper color, yeah, is a square root. And then we have x cube in this calculator. At the top of this one is cube root. At the top of x square in the copper color is cube root. For the using the cube for the copper colors or the numbers that are written in top of the keys, we should use the second function. We should press the second function first and use these keys. Okay, but it is very important that you have your own calculator, work with it, get familiar with the function of the calculator, And never borrow a calculator from your friends when you are doing tests. Why? Because different type of calculator, different brands of calculator have different location or different arrangement for the keys. And if you borrow a calculator that is strange for you, you are not familiar with the keys and functions, then the risk of mistake is gonna be very high. So it's very good to have your own calculator, work with your calculator and get familiar with the keys. Let's do one example about this one. A square root of 81 hundredths. Okay, a square root of 81 hundredths. If you use the calculator to find, the result gonna be 0.9. Yes. Why? Because 0.9 multiplied by 0.9 is gonna be 0.81. Now, one thing that I want to explain to you. Look at here. As I told you, the square root of 4, it's going to be plus and minus 2. Okay? Positive 2 because 2 times 2 is 4, and negative 2 because negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. If I say negative square root of 4, again is going to be plus minus plus 2 because a square root of 4 is going to be 2. Then we have a negative here, then negative times 2 is negative 2, or a square root of 4, we can call it is negative 2, but there is a negative here, then negative times negative is going to be positive 2. Can you see, it seems that this negative sign, it doesn't affect the answer. To avoid this confusion, when we are calculating a square root of 4, we don't care, we don't write the negative answer. Negative sign. We say the square root of 4 is 2. And negative square root of 4 is going to be negative 2. Okay? For the square root, we just pay attention to the sign of the radical. If it's positive, we just put the positive answer. If it's negative, we just put the negative answer. Okay? And that's it for the square root. Okay, I hope you enjoy this video and see you in our next videos. Bye for now.